So this one is by Lorenzo Rodrigues. He says, from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Hey, how are you doing? I'm Lorenzo and I'm a 3D character artist from Brazil, focusing on games and on more realistic style. Getting into the industry is my main goal right now, and everyone would do, and then work my way to my main focus. What tips can you give regarding making new characters for games for portfolio, because they usually take a lot of time, and right now, ideally, my portfolio needs more models. I was planning on making stylized characters for games as well, because they're quicker to make, to build volume and give a shot in a different market, since realistic seems to be harder for new artists. It's not that it's harder, it's that it's, as you say, more time consuming sometimes. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is an ice nomad. Okay. Interesting. So the one thing that I noticed immediately with this character, my friend, is that it's a little bit dense on geometry. Yeah, so we're using a lot of geometry for this character, Lorenzo, and we're not really utilizing that geometry. What do I mean by that? If we take a look, for instance, here in the boots, right? Let's go to Photoshop real quick. So if we take a look here at the boots, one thing that I noticed is that you did the retopology of the boots as a single mesh. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So all of this is a single mesh, right? And the problem is that you are going really heavy on the topology of the boots. I can see that it's really, really dense, right? But it's so flat, so flat. Like all of the silhouette is pretty much like you can simplify those with just like 4 polygons and that's it. You don't need as much as you have right there. So if you're gonna be doing this, what you want to do is you want to exaggerate the silhouette a little bit more. So for instance, this pants, let's push it out a little bit more. Same over here. Right, same over here, so that it really seems like the bandages are pushing out. Let's keep one bandage on top of the other, you know. It's like, so really use the new polygons or the polygons that you're adding on your wireframe to push the silhouette of the character a little bit more. That's going to make it look way more interesting. And you can see this in like games like God of War, right? Like Kratos has a lot of bandages around the body, and they really pop out and generate a lot of silhouette that makes it look more interesting. So that kind of stuff can really add and make your elements way more complex, and it's a really good way to, what's the word? It's a really good way to generate that sort of like effect. And the same thing can be said about the cloth itself. So for instance, the pants, right now, this pants right here, they look very flat, right? Like they look like they're made out of like a very heavy sort of like wool or like leather or something. And what I would expect to see right here, I'm not really good at painting, so you guys are gonna have to forgive me, but I would expect to see a little bit more depth, right? So more wrinkles. So really push the silhouette of the elements a little bit more, and really see how they're actually, again, generating that change. Because right now they look very flat. And if we add or exaggerate those folds a little bit more with geometry, with actual geometry, it's going to look more interesting. This is something that you see very again frequently with cloth, and we talk about this on the Marvelous Designer course. So if you have not taken Marvelous Designer, that might be a good option. Again, same for the boots. Like we're missing more detail here on the little boots. So I know you know the techniques, my friend. I know you know the pipeline because you have like UVs and everything. We need to work a little bit more on the polishing of the elements, okay? And we need more full characters. This hair right here looks very nice. It does look a little bit plasticky. Hair is tricky. The character, by the way, is very cool. I like this sort of like Western characters. But something that happens with hair very frequently is that you are going to have a little bit of what we call breakaways or transition hairs. And they're going to be like small little hairs that you're going to have here on the border of the hairline, and they're going to help you break out this like sort of like elements. You're also going to have like, not everything's going to be perfectly fine, so you will have a couple of hairs, you know, like moving or not following in the exact same direction of the rest of your character. And that can really help you blend all of this stuff, because right now it looks a little bit too uniform, I would say. So it's very important that we incorporate a little bit of this breakaway and this sort of like again, transition hairs, so that when you see it from afar, it looks a little bit more blended in. Okay, yeah, like rebel hair, like all of that sort of stuff. As a recruiter, how many? I've mentioned this before, Solam. I would expect to see at least 5 really good pieces. So 5 really good pieces in your portfolio is a good way to start. Lorenzo, my advice would be to do another character, because as you mentioned, you need more. I know this takes time. Like, I know doing a full character like this one is at least like a month of work. But, I mean, what can I say? Like, you gotta go through it. One thing I can tell you is, if you're feeling like you're spending too much time, for instance, on the base mesh or on the anatomy, just grab a base mesh. Just grab the anatomy and focus on the props, focus on the details, focus on the wrinkles and all that sort of stuff. You don't need to do everything from scratch. Like, try to tackle this as if you were already in production, and give yourself a sort of a goal. Like, hey, I need to do one character. I have 4 weeks. I'm gonna use as many shortcuts and as many things as I can, and I'm gonna deliver the final result. Okay? It's not cheating, and we talked about this in post-production, in the post-production video this week. If you're working on the if you're working on any project for a studio, time and money are resources that are limited. So you will have to take, again, shortcuts. Sometimes you will be like, hey, I cannot model one of these little bottles, and you found the model online. Just download it. Just make sure that you include it here. Of course, download it legally, and make sure you include in the description, I didn't do the bottles. The bottles were done or were provided by this thing right here. But even things like this, right? Like, I've recommended Jonas Ronegard. Like, I know if I was doing like a Japanese like thing, I could sculpt all of these ornaments for my character. Like, I know the techniques to do this, and most of you guys who use ZBrush also know how to do them. But if I need to do all of this, it's gonna take me like 2 or 3 days to generate them. It's not wrong to just pay $6 here to good old Jonas, which, by the way, this is not a sponsor or anything, but he is an amazing artist. He has a lot of like really cool stuff. It's not wrong to pay $6 and have this thing right here, okay? Use them for your projects. It's fine, okay? You guys need to understand that production and sort of like your proficiency as an artist are important, but there's times where you need to optimize. The base mesh police is just knocking right here. It's like, oh no, I was joking, I'll do everything. Let's see. So yeah, that would be my advice for you, Lorenzo. Lorenzo, this is my advice for you. Do one more character. I would recommend doing a female character as well, because you have 2 male characters pretty much. So one female character is also a good way to show your skills. Alan, what's up, man? Welcome